Welcome to, we're all in straight away. Welcome to the Potty Mouth Garden Club. I am Tony C. Smith. Hello. Just come into the chat and say hello. Let me bring in everyone. We'll have a little wave and then we'll run the intro. Just say hello to everybody. How is everyone? Hey! Yes. So, a little bit of just JB was going to be on tonight, and unfortunately his dad's took really ill, and we just want to wish him all the best here because his dad's not well at all. So our thoughts, JB, are with you always, and especially at this kind of time. Do you know what I mean? Kind of get in there, JB, and get him well. So yes, if you want a question asked by one of our esteemed guests, put it in capitals on the chat. That would be fantastic. That would be lovely there. And thank you for coming on a Tuesday. I should be Monday, but I've been at the coalface working all 2 days. It's got us knocking. Sort of I'm batting or balling. So we'll begin and we'll run the intro. Yes. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Potty Mouth Garden Club. And like you see, we've got Jess back as well. Hello, Jess. Nice to have you. How are you doing? We'll get into kind of, like what you've been up to and kind of how your gardening's going. But it's lovely to have you back. Thank you very much. And I noticed before the glass, the proverbial glass of wine is close by your hand. There we go. Yes. Thank you. I went and muted myself there. So anyway, Jess, it was lovely to have you on. Thank you again for coming on. Audrey, thank you for stepping. Like I said, JB was going to be on, but I sent Audrey a little kind of message, and it was lovely to have you on. Audrey, thank you for stepping into the breach.
Happy to help out. Absolutely.
Yes. And the old boy's still here. How are we doing? Do you want to see Stephen's? I'll just show you this little picture. He sent us a little picture. Oh, look at that, isn't he? As happy as Larry. He's trying his Cal Mag. That was the day after the interview, Steve. You sent me that. So where did you get that? So quick.
Amazon Prime.
Right, man. Because that came, you must have gotten that like the same day or the next day. You must have ordered it on the night. Did you?
2 minutes after.
Nah. I just love it. It's like a holiday photograph. Yay! So yes, it was a good chat last week about tomatoes, about fertigation. Is that?
That's it.
Fertigation and everything. And I'm so glad. Jesse, I'm so glad you're on because you've had a hell of a nightmare. I know it's horrible to kind of bring it up, but it was just when I watched, it's probably, is it 2 videos ago there now, Jess, that you put this video out and it was just gobsmacked because I haven't seen anything like that. And to have, I'll just let everyone know, all of Jesse's tomatoes went. Do you know what I mean? It was kind of, just go to the drink and just forget gardening because it was just kind enough sent over some pictures and I'll just show you. I mean, it happened so quick as well. It was just, that's just, Jess, tell me what happened and I'll keep interspersing because the pictures are getting even more horrific. You know what I mean?
Well, the problem is I've got no idea what happened.
Oh, you know what it was? I honestly thought you were going to come on today and say, this is what it was. It took us a while to work out. So you still don't know what that was?
Currently, just going from like what people commented, there was loads of different, like obviously everybody's like thinking what it could possibly be, but like it wasn't compost. That was kind of taken out of the equation because they were all in different composts. Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it?
It's a lovely picture.
Oh, wow.
But it was pretty dire. But Yeah, so it wasn't the compost. It couldn't have been that. And actually, in the end, when we worked it out, like the only thing that they'd all had was like the same water source. And I've had a lot of people saying, "Oh, have you had work done on your pipes recently? Like, had any plumbing work done or anything?" And the only thing I could think of is that when I kind of backtracked, we've just had water meters put up in the road, and that was about around the same time that they all collapsed.
You know what
I have
then,
no
Jess? You
idea
know, because
whether
I am the waterboard worker. Do you know what I mean? And that's I tell you what, you would normally happen then. That might be like chlorine water, because once we do all that work, we've got to make sure that pipe, you know, might have a bit soil in it, might something like that. You've got to kind of blast the chlorine in. You've got to sterilize it. It could have been like too rich a chlorine. You know what I mean? Like all right for us, but not for like kind of little plants.
No.
Tony, are you
Tony.
admitting it was your fault then?
I think he is.
Well,
It
no,
definitely is. Yeah.
I'm just giving you know, I mean,
Tony.
kind of an expert view of the water, because I was actually thinking, I wonder if it was more, say, like windows were left open and a farm had been spraying fields like a chemical or something like that. But I wonder
mean,
if it was.
I'm nowhere near a field. Like,
Right.
I'm in a really like built up area. My conservatory like thing at the back of the house is, my garden is like a postage stamp, and then there's just buildings everywhere else. So there's not really any reason for it to go. And it was like it's all like that picture there, which shows really clearly, you know how they've gone yellow and the stem, the veins are really, really pronounced and purple. Like normally that's some sort of deficiency, but I guess if their roots have been done in by chlorine, they're not going to be able to suck anything up, so they'd have a pretty major deficiency. So maybe, but it happened in like 24 hours basically. They went from looking like potential tomatoes to a massacre.
I mean, look at that. I mean, they've gone there. Do you know what I mean? They're kind of, there's some of them not even kind of there. Do you know what I mean? It's just, it was, and I wonder, I mean, you probably never just get to the bottom of it. You can only just surmise. But I bet, and I'm going to be kind of, you know, watch me kind of potty mouth. I bet you'll be shit scared next year. You know what I mean? Just in case. Yeah. You know what I mean? I guess the only thing.
Because one of the reasons that, so I only got the idea that it might be something in the water from what people had commented under the video, because quite a few people had said, oh, it could be something that's kind of gone through your pipes. But I thought it couldn't possibly be that, because a lot of the other plants hadn't been affected and they've all been watered by the same thing. But actually, slowly, everything, even the older tomatoes, got it and went. So it just took longer for the older ones to go. And that's the only thing they had in common, because it just so happened that they'd all been planted into different compost, and they'd been fed with 2 different feeds. So it wasn't something in that, like, just.
And, you know, like from the waterboard point of view, you've got to do this kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? You've got to put a little bit more. I mean, obviously they're in limits for human, you know what I mean? But
Great
it's not,
Thanks for that.
not for tomatoes. I mean, see, I would have thought, I was going to say as well, I wouldn't, at least your bigger plants, but then you're saying there your bigger plants eventually succumb to it as well. You know what I mean? So brutal, to be honest. And then you went, and it is, isn't it? You go and you think, well, I'll have to go and, you know, buy tomatoes. And there's nothing really like exciting in tomatoes. It's just like your money makers and this and like, it's such a box standard plain. So what, in the end then, what have you got grown?
Well, Johanna's come to the rescue. My sister has given me, she just grew masses of like extras. So she's given me, I think I've got a couple of black crims. I've got a tigerella, and I've got some interesting bits. And I was going to be picking up sun gold anyway, because obviously it's F1 and I can't be bothered to buy the seed. So I just buy them as plants anyway. So I got them. Yeah, but it's just going to be a bit reduced from like 21 incredibly exciting varieties to like a couple.
So what varieties did you have then, Jess?
Oh my God, I've been sent them from all over the place. It was amazing. I was just like constantly getting exciting varieties through the post. And I had like Berkeley's tie-dye, I think, you know, the one that's all green and orange and yellow when you cut them open.
And, right. No, I didn't.
Yeah. one's called like solar flare and all sorts of excitement. But I'm trying not to think about it.
I honestly, Jess, I thought you were going to come on and say a little bit happier, more, you know what I mean, like a little bit more upbeat about it. But it's kind of, and I was even getting comments on my videos, you know, just because I did it tomorrow. Have you seen Jess's? You know what I mean? People were like coming over to me and saying, "Have you seen Jesse's?" You know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
Now, Jesse, you just re-sowed some in this last video, right?
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
hoping that something's going to come of them. Yeah. I've
They
never
will
sowed
catch
them.
up.
It's worth a shot. Yep.
When did you sow them then, Jess?
On Tuesday.
Like a week ago, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A week ago.
Right.
So, I mean,
Stephen,
you never
what
know.
do you
We get
think?
it so long. Like we normally still have the tomatoes coming in like early November. So they've got a chance. There's quite a long patch left to go.
Well, if you watch last week's Potty Mouth, we had I played a video by Glenn Salters, and he's on about this is what we've been talking about, and we're going to bring it up again. I guess fertigation, where we're using what is it, Steve?
Fertigation.
Fertigation. So we're
not
kind of
on vert.
really hammering the feed of the tomatoes, making them stronger. Now I knocked my Brad's Atomic in the, you know, trying to get them out and, you know, like hardened off, knocked them. They have picked up tremendous. Now I don't know if it was because I haven't. Steve's the one that tests. I don't know if it's the CalMag or it's Audrey's, you know, voodoo magic powder she puts on them, or it's me good old compost. You know, so
Right.
Steve, we're talking about this fertigation. You're right into it now, aren't you? You're kind of going to do, well, you're going to do the best tests you can, because I've watched your little video for this year.
Yeah.
So what are you making from it from last, like I say, it was just like a chance Glenn got in touch with her and kind of, you know, mentioned, you know, this is what he does. And then it seems to have like, I didn't think anything would excite you, Stephen, in this, you know what I mean, in these autumn years.
Well, it's one of those strange things. I mean, we've all seen these greenhouses that commercial growers use, and they've got these great big massive vines growing up 20 foot in the air. We know that they're fertilized to within an inch of their life. And that's what the fertigation's always been about, and it's always been available to farmers. And that's what Glenn has been trying to do. He's trying to bring that to the average man on the street. And that's what excited me, because for many years that's been out of reach. Now it's not so much out of reach, and it's now it's sweeping the world, I believe. I know it's in Europe. They're using it in Europe and in America. And the thing that really excited me last week was when I first saw the interview, was the fact that Glenn feeds every time he waters, which is something that I've always done. And my belief is that, you know, you can't last on water for 3 days. You need a chocolate biscuit with it or something. And that's the way I've always fed my tomatoes. And just to hear him say that, although he does it slightly differently, that's what sort of got my mind ticking away. Then I started seeing his plants and listening to what he was saying. And yeah, I can't lie. I am really, really excited to see where this goes this year.
I mean, Glenn, he's a clever lad, Glenn, isn't he? And he kind of sometimes, like, the science just kind of, for me, I just like, right, you know what I mean? And it's all like, oh, slow down there. Or what did you make of last week with Glenn's interview? Would you go down that diet? Because I guess there is a definite, you know, you're either organic or you feed, you know, with these CalMags, and I know you can get organic CalMags and everything like that. What's your view to start with? Would you rather not even bother and just use your Miracle Grow?
I do use I don't use Miracle Grow. Shame on you.
No, I meant to say, you know, like your miracle-y kind of voodoo-y kind of powder. That's what I was.
Dance around it. Right, I get it. I do use CalMag on my.
Oh, that's right, because you spray it on your plants, don't you?
Yeah, I use the foliar CalMag, but honestly, I can't imagine doing it every time I water.
Well,
I can't.
Funny enough, Audrey, that's what I'm noticing is it's, you know, I've got like that bottle that Steve kind of, I'll just put that little picture on. That's my bottle, that size there.
Right.
Hey,
What a photo.
you know, I've got, say, maybe 20, 25 plants. It sharp goes down. You know, I'm using like the 3 mils each time and 2 watering cans, and I'm probably 6 watering cans every day. You know, the price of like going down this route outweighs your price of tomatoes by a long shot. Do you know what I mean?
And I think there's really something to feeding the soil, not just the plant.
Mhm.
And I understand that's that's both and. I think what I might do is up my foliar feed this year just to see if that helps. But I have my tomatoes on a drip system, so they just get watered automatically in the morning. So I mean I just can't imagine totally changing that to where now I'm
But
out there
could
with
you
a
not?
bucket.
I wonder, Audrey, though, this is what I was thinking. This is the part of the kind of the process of feeding commercials. Could you not just have like your tank of water, or does it come straight from the tap, this drip feed?
It's from the top.
Right. Because I was going to say, could you not have like just put your mix
If
into
it
a
was
barrel?
if it was a barrel or something,
Yeah.
I could do that. So I wouldn't mind upping my Cal Mag just to see if that works. But that'd be like once a week, maybe. I
Right.
mean, I'm still working too, so it's like there's only so much time
Uh-huh.
in the course of a day.
Jess, are we talking mumbo jumbo here? Or are you kind of up to speed with CalMag?
You know what? I'm not up to speed with CalMag. I'm not at all. But I was just remembering. I mean, this is a long time ago, but you used to be able to get like solidified feed. It was like in probably the early 90s, and it was like these cakes of bright blue feed that you used to have like an attachment for the hose that had like a canister that went on the bottom, and the water would go through it and then far out. I was just wondering if like anything like that came in pellet form, like slow release pellet form, that you could put in a canister like that and then just have it as your hose for every feed.
I do use it in it's a sprayer. So it's like a 2-gallon sprayer that I set up, and I can just spray the foliage. But that other stuff you're talking about, I think, is Miracle Grow.
Yeah, well, funny enough,
Yeah.
Audrey, I've got for me outside plants, I've got exactly what Jesse's saying. It's like a little attachment, and I've now filled me water butt. And these are just for like the hanging baskets and that, and it's a Miracle Grow, and it's bright blue. It's almost like, disgustingly blue. But I put this like canister on this thing, and it just sprays the whole lot. But I wouldn't probably use that on me kind of tomatoes or anything like that, just on hanging baskets. Jess, how do you feed your tomatoes then? When you get them grown, what will you do? How will you feed? Do you feed every day, or you kind of once a week?
If I'm watering, so I tend to do, maybe it depends. If we've had in the middle of summer when the hoses are turned off, I tend to feed every time because it's just habit putting it in the watering can. But at the beginning of the season and the end of the season, when it's just a hose, I don't bother, which is why I was thinking about putting like solidified seaweed pellets in the canister that you would normally put the hideous blue stuff in, like whether it will work. But when the hoses go off, so like right in the middle of the season, I do tend to feed every time.
Do the hoses go off every year, do they?
Yeah, we get a hose pipe ban every year.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's your water? Who is your water company? Just out of curiosity.
Thames.
Ah. Right. Them. Right. Oh, it's Thames, is it? See, I heard when I first started, there was the 10 water companies, and there was always, when you kind of joined I'm from Northumbrian Water, it was like the gossip was that Thames Water had been through humans 11 times before you get your glass of water. You know what I mean? That was always our kind of, did you hear about Thames Water? It gets recycled. So, and I guess recycled now is the kind of the norm, but
that's fine.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm all right with that.
Unless they're changing the stop taps outside and putting a meat. So have they put meters on your water as well?
The whole street.
Right.
Yeah.
So did you have any? Because in ours we've got to either ask for it. You know what I mean? So they've just done it. So
Yeah.
you'll have to
Yeah,
be
they did the
careful.
whole street in one fell swoop.
You'll have to be careful with your water there, Jess. And
I know, the whole house is leaking. I fell through the kitchen floor the other day because we've got a leak under the kitchen floor and the joists have gone. So I put my foot through the floor. There's a leak going on under there. I've had to take part of the kitchen ceiling down because the shower's leaking through the ceiling of the kitchen. It's like, it's just not, I really don't need a water meter right now. Thanks very much.
Steve, what we doing with the tomato feed then? So what's your process now after listening to Glenn? What are you doing? How are you? Because you're normally a comfrey man.
That's it, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Normally comfrey, and I'm still using the comfrey. I've got
just tip it away, man. Tip it away. Just hide on it.
I've got 3 patches of tomatoes. One where I'm testing the biodigester waste product, one where I'm feeding as normal. So I've planted the tomatoes with bloodfish and bone and nugget comfrey, and then there's the third batch, which I'm devoting a whole tunnel number 3 to, which I'll be using these new methods from Glenn, and from what I've seen of it and my past horticultural experience, if you like, I don't see any reason why it's not going to work. But I haven't started feeding them yet. I'm still waiting for a few bits to arrive.
So you know your digester one.
Yeah.
How have you planted them? Have you dug a big hole and put a whole load into the ground of this? Right. You're not putting them in like buckets or tubs. You've just like dug out some soil and like replaced it with.
Yeah.
You're kind of hoping. You've got your fingers and toes crossed for this digester stuff, and I don't know if it's going to kind of let you down, Stephen. I don't know if it's like this great white hope that's going to.
If it does, it does. But it's me just trying to find another source of compost for next year, because we know peat's going out the system next year. We know we've got to find new composts. Mm-hmm. All the peat-free stuff I've tried has been. It's been worse than Thames water, let's put it that way.
Jeez, wow. Didn't think it'd be that bad.
Well, I used to be down there. I used to live around the sort of Windsor, Maidenhead and Slough Bracknell area, so I know all about Thames water. I know what it's like.
So
there is a certain taste and a smell to it when it comes out the tap as well.
How's Steve? How's when we're talking about this digester soil? You test with your beans. Is that still looking like the peat one is way better than the digested test one?
Yes, yeah. The at the moment they're twice the size.
So they still haven't caught up.
No, they haven't. I don't think they will either. I mean, I was just looking at them this morning, and I think I'm getting an inkling that some of the leaves might be a little bit deformed. But some people have commented, and I agree that if it is really good stuff. I mean, it was touted to me as rocket fuel. Then I think it's going to be good as an addition to another compost, another medium. So maybe mix it up with leaf mold or something. So these tests are yet to go. But the first test you've always got to do a bean test and try it neat and see how things grow. Mm-hmm. So I've got lettuce growing in it as well. But again, that's way behind the lettuce that I'm growing in peat as well.
Jess, do you ever do like Steve's just like great for this community, kind of does the test and the test where our kind of Glenn came on. And as soon as I got me thing, I just thought, I'm testing, just we'll do it. Do you know what I mean? How are you for your gardening? Do you carefully test before it goes into full production? Or do you just say, you know what, we'll just bloody hide on?
I'm pretty good at planning tests and like starting them off. And then like a month later, I can't remember what I've done in which bin, and I've written it on a piece of paper that's been in the greenhouse and it's been eaten by a slug. And then, yeah, I mean, I love the idea of doing tests, but so far, not so good.
Mm-hmm. I think for me, it boils down to just it all of a sudden comes to be like too much. Do you know what I mean? We're kind of now like the height of growing, just keeping like the wheels turning around without crashing into, you know what I mean? It's just then to have tests going on as well. Exactly what you say, Jess. It's great. I'll be great at kind of right. I'm going to do this, but coming down to doing it, 2 months later, I just you know what I mean.
And also the thing about the tests that I find frustrating is that I know that even if I test something and it's absolutely fantastic one year, if I do everything to the millimeter exactly the same the next year, it'd be totally different. So it's like just seems to be how it works out.
What do you think of that then, Steve? You can do all your tests you like, but it just boils down to like another year could be a totally different set of results.
It is very much like that. I mean, because the next year the weather could change as well, or the conditions that you run in the testing, and that will always affect the results. I mean, why I like to run these tests is just to give me an idea of what's possible, and then I'll try to fine tune it after that. It's like with this stuff that I'm trying now of Glenn's. I know it's going to be relatively expensive to do, but then if it works, I'll then try to find a cheaper alternative to run it. That will be my next step.
Mm-hmm. So what process are you going with then, Steve? What of Glenn's? Are you going like, because there was different, we've had like chats with Glenn like off air and everything like that, and he kind of, like I say, he was getting all into he's calling them straights where he's making his own different batches. Are you going down that route of adding like a little bit this, a bit of that, bit of this, checking the EEC, the EC meter? Are you going down that route?
No, I'm just going to use the straight up, I think he calls it the master blend mix. So the mix that's ready prepared for you. I'm looking into the straights and everything else as well, and I might dabble in that this season, but we'll have to see, because that's a little bit more chemistry set, a little bit more weighing stuff out. And
can you just explain? Can you just explain what do you mean by straights? Just so people at home can know what we're talking about.
Well, the master blend is a mix of the different nutrients that, like, for instance, a tomato plant might need. Straights are straight fertilizers, so it might be just a potash or just a nitrogen feed or just a phosphorus. So that's straight, and he then measure those out to make his own master blend, if you like.
And like what Glenn was, this is every day, and Glenn's even saying he's doing it twice a day. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, wow, this is like kind of, and mind, you look at Glenn's tomatoes, the kind of proofs, you know what I mean? They're kind of up there. He's got fruit, he's peppers, they're all kind of, it works. Do you know what I mean? But there's a lot of kind of work in it. Audrey, what are you for? Like, do you feed every day with this, this drip feed? Is like, you're saying you're working, so it's a bit hard for you.
No,
what's your
No, honestly, the CalMag, I sprayed on my tomatoes when I put them in, and once they flower, I spray again, and it's mainly to ward off blossom end rot.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get blossom end rot until about 4 years ago. And all of a sudden, it's like, oh, it's a CalMag deficiency. So I found this organic CalMag, and that's what I use. And I've not had problems since.
Mm-hmm. Oh well, it's nice
But
to
no,
kind of.
I don't spray them like every day. No.
Uh-huh.
If anything, I used like an organic general fish fertilizer for everything in my garden, and I just give everything a nice dose of that once every week or once every 2 weeks, because the goal might be every week, but it may not happen.
So what do you think of like Steve's theory of we all like a little food, if you give water, but you have to give food. It's like having a cup of tea without a biscuit.
Oh.
What about that?
Well, I don't disagree with that. I mean, I have a chemistry background, so there's part of me that goes, yeah, it all makes sense. But again, it's how much time do you have to give to that?
Especially with the amount of plants you've got.
That would just be overwhelming to me.
You'd have to back in the wagons to bring in the fertilizer.
and
This way,
honestly,
Barry, this way.
And honestly, every time we get a rain, my plants grow better than they ever grow.
Mm-hmm.
So I work harder at making sure my dirt my soil, excuse me, is very fertile and has a lot of nutrition in it. And then I just give my plants some help.
And I'm right in thinking at the moment, Audrey, everything is outside for you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. But you're going to get like a little. Are you going to get like a little green too, or something, or your garage knocker windows or something? Was
Yeah,
that-
no, yeah, I said that. I think we're going to put a bank of windows in the south-facing wall of the garage, and I'll use that as a greenhouse. So and again, it's just so I can start some things early. I can't grow anything back there in the middle of summer; it'd be just too hot.
Well, that's what I was going to. When you're saying there, the rainwater, but in your summer, you don't often get the rainwater.
No, we don't. That's the problem. Like July and August, if it rains, we're excited.
You're not getting your water from Thames Water and then knocking it off as well, are you?
I don't think we get Thames water over here.
So, just out of curiosity, who is your water company, Audrey? What's your water company?
Detroit.
Detroit Water Company, right?
Well, I don't know if it's called Detroit Water Company, but I know we get our water from the Detroit system.
Who do you pay your bill to, man? That's how it's, we get...
The city I live in, that's who I pay my bill to. Which is not Detroit, but we hook into their system.
Right. Just then, let's... Sorry, Audrey, what?
No, I was going to say, and as much as Detroit gets a bad knock just about all the time, they have a really good water system. So that's all I'm going to say. I don't drink tap water, but I don't
their
mind.
chlorines are the right level. Did it kind of hit anything else, or did you just have tomatoes going at that time?
I think it's really, really impacted my chilies and peppers. They're still alive, but they are really stunted.
Wow, man.
They're really, I mean, when did I sow them? Like first week of January, second week of January maybe. And I'm not kidding.
Right? Never.
That's it. They haven't done anything since about then. Like they had just started to kick off. You know how they come up and then they sit for ages at a particular size. They just stay that way. And then you're thinking, oh, what's going on here? And then suddenly they really start to take off. Just at the point when they were really starting to take off was when all of this nonsense happened.
Right.
And then that was ceased. And they're still that height. So interesting. I don't know what I'm going to do about that. I haven't taken anything up to the allotment from here because although I'm thinking it's a water problem, I've just got this kind of like thing in the back of my head that like if it's not a water problem and it's something that they've actually got, I don't want to take them up to the allotment. So at the moment they're sort of sitting in limbo. I don't know whether it's something.
Right. So you've got nothing like say tomatoes or anything up at the plot yet.
I have, but they're ones that either I've bought or Johanna's given me, and they've come in straight for her house, like without even via my house, the plague house.
How are they doing? Doing fine, are they?
Fine. They're looking amazing. Yeah, I've got tomatoes on them. Like they're doing really well.
Right.
But
I wonder if it is that because I bet you must have had in the comments, Jess, so many people like I'll tell you what it is, Jess. No, I'll tell you what it is. I know what it is. It's this. It's, you know what I mean? Like so many.
I mean, 99.99% of people like give you some suggestions, which is like, oh, it could be this, it could be this, it could be this. I've had some good suggestions. A lot of it, the weird ones, has been mostly that we've had 5G put in the area recently. That has apparently killed my tomatoes.
Right.
That was I had quite a lot of comments about that and a lot of like DMs on Instagram about that's what that was. Also, because I live near Heathrow, it's the chemtrails from the plane. There was something about Russia. I had a couple of things about Russian tomatoes because I'd made some joke earlier. This is ridiculous, but I'd made a joke earlier that totally by chance I'd swapped out my black Russians for black Krim tomatoes earlier in the year. So like gone for the Ukrainian version. This was before the war. This just happened to be. And then somebody sent me a message saying that that's what had done it.
Well, it's funny, you know, because you've mentioned that, Jess. Opposite my allotment, there's one of the allotments. He's a he works in like a garden. He's a manager for one of the garden centres, and they cannot get rid of their, I think is it Black Russian tomatoes? They're just left. No one's buying them. Do you know what I mean? We're just for that kind of that tag name of Russia.
Wow.
You know what I mean? He says it's just no one. We're giving them away now. He says that because no one's buying them.
That's so sad because
Wow.
that is such a good tomato.
Jesse would like some.
Huh?
Yeah, go get some, Jesse. Oh my goodness.
Just send them my way. Give them all the garden centres this way. I'll have a field of them.
I'll answer. We'll put some questions up there. I'll just. Carol Perry is saying, "What do I do about asparagus beetle?" Now that's a new one to me, so I'm not 100% sure. Stephen, have you heard of asparagus beetle?
I've heard about it, but I've never had to deal with it.
Jess. Steve,
then,
you're being
Jess.
sidelined.
Ah,
No,
well.
just remember it's a pest and disease, so I've got it. Like, that's how it works. Yeah, I've had asparagus beetle for ages, but I just crush the eggs. When you find the eggs on the stem, they're like these little tiny black spines. They're about 1 millimeter, 2 millimeter, and they stick like at a right angle out of your asparagus. And if you just wipe them off like consistently as they're growing, I found that makes a huge difference.
Right.
Right.
Well, I've never heard. Jess, will it kill not kill the plant, surely, will it? Or
They don't kill the plant, but they're an amazing beetle. They are bright red, like post box red. They're
Right.
beautiful. So they're not difficult to see, but if you go towards them or touch the leaf, they drop to the ground and they go like belly up and they're black, so you can't see them against the soil. And what they tend to do is, when the asparagus gets really huge and it's got all its frondy bits going on, they just strip the fronds. So eventually you're kind of just weakening the plant as you're like each year when you're trying to bolster it with the end growth, it just gets weaker. But yeah, if you can get the eggs first, it does make a big difference.
so are they every year they're there for you? Are they?
Yeah.
Right. And there's nothing like say organic you can do apart from rubbing the plant or anything like. Right. That's a new one.
No, I mean, to be fair, I've never tried anything that, but they're like a weevil type looking beetle, with like a proper shell case and
Right.
and a top. I'm not very good at beetles, sorry, but they're like a proper beetle. They're not a aphidy type looking thing. They're like a proper shell case type, and they don't really respond to much other than crushing, I don't think.
Right. It does seem like every vegetable has its like predator A1, you know what I mean? That'll just like knock it for 6. Like everything. So this one's a new one for me there, to be honest. Audrey, have you heard of asparagus beetle or not? Or
I've heard of it. I've never had it.
I haven't got asparagus, do you know what I mean? It's just I haven't got the real estate to kind of commit to that kind of bed. You know what I mean? To kind
You
of
need a
leave
football pitch.
Mm-hmm.
You need a football pitch, Tony, that you can grow anything you want.
I know. Have you got asparagus, Steve, or not? Or
I did have until a couple of years ago, but it wasn't. I hadn't picked the best variety to grow, and I was growing half female plants and half male plants, and I didn't realise them. So you wait 2 or 3 years, realise your crop is rubbish, and dig them all out again. So no, I haven't got any at the minute. But I think next time I do it, I'll plant crowns. I was trying to do it the cheapskate way and grow from seed,
So, Jess, is there a certain method that we've got to stick to get good asparagus? What's Steve on about male and female, and what? And
I've never had much of a problem with male and female, like in terms of the amount they produce. I mean, you can see when they get older that they're a mixture of some of the other. But our main asparagus bed has got a mixture of both, and it seems to be absolutely fine. But I got some incredible proper like root systems from Pennards. Pennards. They were like, they were about 2 foot across, the root systems. They were absolutely enormous. They were spectacular. And they've been brilliant. That's the new bed we just put in. So we tend to do like a new bed every 5 or 6 years, so that there's, they roll on.
Right. So just for me as well, then, Jess, what is the process of, like, say, how long do you wait before you can get a good crop where you can kind of fry them in olive oil and lovely kind of things?
Probably 4 years. But if you get, they say you should wait 6, but you can probably start doing it after 4. But if you have a succession, like you get one bed going, and like at the 4-year point you put another bed in, you're much less likely to kind of touch that bed, and you can sort of let that really, really well establish whilst you're picking the other one, being a bit more, cavalier with their root systems, and then you can kind of move them on, because once you've got them on, they'll last, like 25, 30 years, they'll be fine. But it is that first bit that does make a huge difference.
So am I right in what you just said, that you've got 2 beds now on the go?
Yeah, so we had a bed that was lasted about, so when that was about 10 years old, we put another one in. And then that one now is about 8 years old. And we planted, somebody gave me a load of these incredible ones from Pennard about 3 years ago. So they're in a separate bed now. So we're kind of shuffling down the allotment.
And do you get like amazing crops? Because it's something I've always wanted to grow, Jess, but like I say, I didn't realise you had to wait that long. It was more for me the concern of like, you've got to just, that bed's now an asparagus bed, it'll never be anything else, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, you can grow strawberries in between asparagus.
Somebody just told me that. Yeah, just the other day.
Yeah, it works great. It doesn't affect the asparagus at all. So you have a lot, Tony, that's strawberry bed. There's no reason you couldn't grow asparagus with that.
There you go. I didn't know that, to be honest.
Yep.
What's the asparagus like then, Jess? Is it nice?
Spectacular.
Is it? Oh.
Yeah, it's nothing like,
there is nothing like what you get in the store. It's like a different vegetable.
It doesn't taste anything like it, does it?
No, it's amazing.
Nothing like it. It's like the difference between a cucumber you get in Tesco's and a cucumber you grow your own. Like they're not even comparable. They look similar, but that's where the comparison ends. And the asparagus is the same. So I eat asparagus like breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 6 weeks of the year, and then I don't touch it again until the next 6 weeks.
Now, is it, Jess? I'm going to be a little bit personal here.
I know where he's going.
Do you know where I'm going?
We all know where you're going.
Do you know where I might be going with this? It doesn't affect me. Can I just say that? It doesn't affect me, the asparagus.
It does affect me.
It does it?
Yeah.
Right.
within about 20 minutes.
Never.
Yeah.
Right.
Really quick. It's quick and overwhelming.
No, it's funny because it just doesn't. Stephen, does it hit you, sir?
Don't get to eat it that much, he says,
right,
craftily avoiding the question.
Audrey, what about you? This is the topic of the night.
I know. Actually, not at all. So
that's incredible. I didn't realize until recently that it didn't affect some people. Like I thought this was just a universal phenomenon.
Just you, Jess?
I wouldn't be growing it. I would not be growing it if that were the case.
But it doesn't. It's not an unpleasant smell. It just smells like asparagus wee.
But see, I don't feel like this asparagus is anything like store-bought asparagus. So maybe that's the difference. It doesn't taste like it. It doesn't even smell like it. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Audrey. I wonder.
The stuff in the store is much smellier.
Right. Yeah. Oh, because I was thinking, I wonder if, like you see, your homegrown has got more potent kick to it.
No, and it eats raw so well. You don't even need to cook it. I mean, that's how tender it is. So good.
Mm-hmm. Ian Gills there, I've just noticed there, is asking about Epsom. We've been on about tomatoes there. Epsom salts for tomatoes. Stephen, I think this might be your one. Any advice for Ian?
What's he wanting to do with it?
Epsom salts, I guess, feed the tomatoes.
Yeah, you get it from your chemist if you need to. It's a good way of stopping, as Audrey mentioned earlier, the blossom end rot. Or a calcium deficiency if you see it coming up in your leaves, if your leaves start going a bit green. They all show deficiencies, and Epsom salts is a good quick fix to
Is it
solve
not?
those.
Is it not like an alter or a similar in a garden centre and instead of going to a chemist for Epsom salts? Is it not something that's
Yeah, most garden centres will have it on their shelves as well.
right? I haven't used it, but I tell you what, Stephen, I do, or I have got myself. I'll just put up there. There we go.
Hey.
Because you're always badgering on about this like seaweed cup. Give it a little sprinkle, give a little dose of seaweed. It'll be right as rain. So
Well, that's like the champagne version, isn't it? What's that, about 15 quid a bottle?
Well, I didn't realise it's quite a big bottle. Do you know what I mean? And just today I took up to the garden there and I don't know if I've done the right thing, I'm sure you said give the celeriacs a little kind of drink of it. So
Did I?
what would people use this for then, Steve? What's it good for?
Well, I use it if for instance I've sown let's say flowers in the autumn and they're overwintering. By the time they start to regrow, and they just need a boost, and I use seaweed feed for that sort of thing. So when a plant's been in a compost environment for so long, and you can see it's lacking, so I'll use that as a quick boost method because it's liquid straight to the roots. Or if something's going a bit pale, it's good to green things up. It's just a good source, and it's got tons of trace elements in there. Mm-hmm. It's just a good tonic. And you can, like Audrey was saying before, you can use it as a foliar spray as well. Just a really good tonic, and it's one of those old-fashioned things, to be honest.
Right. Audrey, do you use over there seaweed fertilizer?
I would. I don't know that I have a good source for that. I use a fish emulsion.
Right. So you haven't got that even that company over there. You haven't got that.
Well, okay. If I were to go in a garden center right now, there'd be 900 different types of fertilizers. So we may very well have that one. I just maybe haven't seen it.
Right. So, but I guess you've heard of like seaweed fertilizer, or because I've heard it through Steve.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But I think the fact that you guys are right on the North Sea probably helps with the seaweed fertilizing.
It's probably made in Detroit and then shipped to us. And then, you know what I mean? It's kind of
no seaweed here. Sorry. So
I'm actually just wondering if it says anything. You know, like
there's I've noticed in the comments there's a couple of mentions of Shropshire seaweed. They're fantastic. I mean, they are like you can't get further from the sea in the UK, I don't think, than Shropshire. Right. But they have a seaweed extract company. They're really, really good, and they do refills around here. So they give you a bottle, and then you don't have to keep rebuying it. You just nip in and refill it, and
go further. Right?
Wow.
Really, really like them. They're good.
That's a really good. So is this a company near you then, Jess? Is it this Shropshire?
No, they are actually based in Shropshire, but they have refill points all over the place. Like Johanna's. My sister's working in a garden centre at the moment in Ripley, so that's like down south, and they've just got in contact with them to get a refill thing in there. And there's like a pasta refill centre, you know, where you buy dry goods in Teddington, just up the road from me, and they have a Shropshire seaweed refill up there. So it's really good. It's a nice way of doing it.
Oh, definitely. Oh, that's lush, to be honest. That's a great like use of, you know, like trying to stop plastic. Do you use the seaweed then, Jess? Are you a big believer in it? What do you use it for?
Seaweed and comfrey is basically the two things I use, and the Epsom salts. But I only use Epsom salts in the garden at home because I like put Epsom salts in my bath, and then I just use the bath water to water the plants.
Right. But you're going to get them leaks fixed first, though, aren't you? You know what I mean? So, what do you use? How do you say you water your tomatoes with the seaweed then?
Yeah, well, I water sort of. I'm not very strategic about feeding. I tend to be like, well, what's closest to the watering can, and then throw a bit of everything on. Like, I don't have a regime.
That sounds exactly like me until last week. You know what I mean? Because it's exactly like that. But even Glenn says, when you're watering, Tony, count to 5. Like in a watering can, pour 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's enough. I've never done that. Do you know what I mean? So now it's just like. So now, since this interview last night with Glenn, it's all like precision. 3 mils per pet, little scoop of the potash there. 1, 2, 3. But like you say, I was exactly like that. And even when it's like using the Tomerite, it was pouring the Tomerite and it would overflow, the cap. I would just keep on pouring. That's enough there. Get that in there. So
it's the same way as when you're pouring a shot. You never actually stop at the line, do you? You just like, whatever. Yeah,
or a glass of wine. It was looking a little bit empty that there, Jess, mind you. Do you know what
I know. It's a little worry.
I'm just seeing if there's any questions. Oh, I've got Stan is in as well. Hello, Clive. Oh, we've got everyone's in there. Urban White Buffalo Farm. I was going to ask about. I'll tell you what I was going to ask Steve as well. I'll just play this little clip of video. Now, I took it. This was from Simon, sent this little video in. And we're talking about kind of shading, like tunnels and greenhouses and everything. Like I think that was like last week. And they'll just play, and it's excused it because it struggled to get this one over as well. So I'll just play this. So Simon was saying there as well, this, and I've never used this, and I don't know if Steve's used this kind of, this like tinfoil-y thing. I'll try and find the link. Simon sent the link over. Steve, have you ever used this tinfoil? Because what Simon was saying was there was a definite like temperature reduction from using this, and it would, he says you probably no problem just tapping it onto like a polytunnel, you know what I mean, and doing a bit of shading there. And it was purely because we've seen JB's. I got a picture for JB as well. Look at it, if he'd been here. I didn't realise there was a Waitrose in Newcastle. I was going to keep on kind of hitting that. But JB, Jess, I don't know if you were kind of aware, JB, I don't know if he actually lost them or got them, but he forgot to open his window, and totally like the heat in his greenhouse just decimated. I've actually deleted the photograph, decimated his plants as well. So we're talking about kind of shading. Have you got any problems with too hot a sun coming in? Have you ever used that tin foil where you can put it up and reduce the sun's glare? Anything like that?
I've never used tin foil. We used to use the white paint on the greenhouse, that stuff. I haven't used that for a couple of years. Yeah, now we just throw like scaffold netting over the top. Where we are, like where the greenhouse is, it really only gets the sun. It gets a little tiny burst in the morning, and then it gets a really massive whack of it right at the hottest part of the day, like 12 o'clock till 3 o'clock. It's right in the sun. So if we just cover one side of it, that you can manage the heat quite well.
Does it ever catch you out, Jess, the heat in it? You know what I mean? Does it? Because it would get me if I didn't. I'm a one. I'll actually leave the doors open just to get that air through. I don't do the shading. Do you know what I mean? I know kind of like Simon on that little video. He uses that, and he thought that was a great idea. Would you ever consider use that kind of tin foily, Jess, or maybe going back to the whitewash?
I would do. It doesn't need it. The one that I've got the problem with in the temperatures is the polytunnel more than the greenhouse, because just in positioning wise, like the polytunnel gets so much hotter, but it stays humid, whereas the greenhouse is incredibly dry. And when that heats up, like it just fries everything.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't tend to heat up quite as dramatically as the poly. Like the poly has been like 52 degrees in the last couple of weeks. So
That's hot.
yeah, it's pretty warm.
Well, I know, Steve, you put on your video, you did a little video where you're going to start putting these automatic wax melting heat opening window systems.
Yeah.
How are you going to do it in a polytunnel? And you're going to have to make a little window within a window. Is that right? Or
Yeah, pretty much. And it's going to go in the door on either end, so it'll just take up one sort of square panel out of the door. Easy to fit. I'm hopefully going to record it on video this week just to show how easy it is. And there's even a really quick trick you can use with that as well. You just fit your window with the hinges, and then you just cut out around it and staple it all on. It's quick and dirty, but it works, you know.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that, to be honest, because I did make provisions for the doors to kind of have, but I'm just too bloody lazy, to be honest. I kind of have well, actually, one section of it is like a mesh, but it's just nowhere near works.
Enough.
And I'm lucky I've got that wall behind us on the polytunnels where I can crack the back door open and then leave the front one, and then it just gets that air going through. And even in the old polytunnel was so badly ripped, I didn't need ventilation. Do you know what I mean? It came with its own ventilation. So it's just.
I'm surprised that thing stayed up, to be honest.
Oh, I know.
That ripped and
I think
taped up.
You know what it was though, Steve? I think it was because it was so damaged, the wind just went in and out. There was no like parachute effect, balloon effect to catch it. There was holes twice as long as me along the bottom. You could lift it, flap it up, you know what I mean? There was all sorts. But if there was ever gales, it was just almost hollow. You know what I mean? Just the wind went through, where if this new one, if I left the front door open and the back door shut, it would be like off to Kansas. You know what I mean? It would just take off like a balloon and away, you know? So, Audrey, how do you go about then, if everything's in your garden, how do you go about shading, you know, like with your severe temperatures?
Well, the only things I'm most concerned about shading are brassicas. Like if my cabbage is still in, if there's some things that I think are gonna, and they're already netted, so I just throw shade cloth over it.
And that does you good, is it?
Oh, it's like I have 50% shade cloth on real scalding days. Works great. Yep.
Now I forgot to mention at the beginning of the show as well that we're going to start doing, and Jess, I forgot, I don't know if I mentioned this to you or not, we're going to, at the end of the show, have from all of you a tip of the week. So we'll say, Stephen, what's your tip of the week? And it can be anything from, anything in the gardening. See, you're not reading. Right. You're not reading your notes as well. Well, I'll let you have a think about that first. But I just want. No. Just come to you. How long we've been going? Just actually, God, we're coming up to the hour there now. So have a little think about your tips. But I just want to, Stephen.
Yeah.
Now get ready for this. Audrey's seen this, right? But I just want to, because of all the tips you've given me and all the experience and the kindness you've given everybody else there, I'm going to award you. I think I might have to go on a meeting to do this. No, wait on screen lock. I'll come back to this then. Actually, let's see.
He's not ready. Oh, dear.
He was working before and I've done something there. Anyway, I'll keep that for later. Then I don't know why that's not. Is it on me? Let's just see if there, Stephen. There we go. You have been awarded the Level 1 Junior Gardening Certificate from the Potty Mouth Garden Club. So I just want to say congratulations, sir. Woohoo! Yeah. Well, that's, and Audrey as well, it goes without saying, Audrey, you get one as well, so congratulations. And Audrey actually seen us putting this up there, you know what I mean? So, Audrey, big congratulations. And let's have a look, is it? Jess, you've got to have one as well. So congratulations. Now I need kind of these, putting on your websites and on your videos and showing everyone that what's going on with the Potty Mouth Garden Club. So there we go. And we'll just have to wait and see if JB is, because whether he gets up to the standard of getting an award, a prestigious award like this. So, Audrey, have you got, with the end of the show there now, so this is what we're going to do every time on an end and put you on the spot. You should have read your notes in the WhatsApp group. I was going to ask you for it. Yes.
Wow.
Oh, you see.
Oh, well.
Give us a tip, Audrey. Give us a tip.
Give me a minute.
Shall I come back to you?
Can we ask Steve first?
I'll go and ask Stephen first. 1 second there. Stephen, can we have your tip of the week, sir?
Yeah, certainly. This time of the year, with the weather being so dry, your soil will look dry. But if you use your homegrown dibber, stick it in the soil, you'll find it's wet just underneath. So don't be keen to water just because the top of the soil looks dry, because you may find that you start drowning plants. Just actually find out what your soil's like before you water.
Good tip. I'll still come back to Audrey.
I'm ready.
What?
Oh, I'm ready. Okay, go ahead.
That was my tip, Steve.
Sorry.
You scoundrel.
Have you got another one then, Jess?
I'm just trying.
Well, wait on then. Let's.
I can go.
Right now, you see. Right.
If you're low on space, grow vertical. Almost everything can grow vertical. And I just put up 8 trellises over the weekend. So I'm growing all kinds of stuff vertically.
Well, we'll talk about vertical gardening next week then, because it's actually on my phone there as one of the topics, Audrey. So I would like to see
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be something interesting to kind of talk about, because it's something I kind of want to get into as well. Jess, have we got a tip of the week?
Yeah, I'm just going to advance on that one. It was more that the same way that when the top of the soil is dry, it doesn't necessarily mean it's dry underneath. It's the same way of when you're watering. If you just water a little and often, you tend to only do that top bit. Whereas if you give it a massive soak, it can look like it's dried out, but it holds the water so much better. Oh, hello.
Oh.
Mum with a bottle of wine. Oh, sorry.
Well, you need to get that.
Go and get the
bottle of wine. What a mum. Jess, I know you'll have finished that by now. You've had an hour. He will give you another one. Oh, that's fab. Well, listen, everyone, thank you. Jess, it's no good opening it now, Jess. We're just going to carry on drinking now till kind of finish. The night's finished. Right. Well, a big thank you to everyone. But Jess, thank you very so much. Thank you indeed. Audrey, thank you for stepping in for JB. Like I say, we're going to kind of swap around and everything. And Stephen, thank you, sir. And JB again, big wish for your dad to get well soon. And one little last wait, Rose. We'll be thinking about you, lads, sending our best wishes for your dad to get ready, and hopefully we'll get JB back on as quick as possible.
May I add that if we didn't answer a question, because I know there's a lot more in there, if you want to put it in the actual comments underneath this video, we can actually answer. When they're just in the feed, we can't really answer.
I know. I wonder if it's worth starting like a Discord, like our own little Discord group, so we can kind of chat and because I'm not that good at asking the questions, you know what I mean? It
I just thought if they retype them in the bottom for now, we can answer them.
Yes, but I think I might think about opening like a Discord as well for all just to hang about in there as well.
Yeah.
So, Jesse, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Hopefully we'll see you back maybe in a month's time and see how tomatoes are going, how the Thames water's dealing with your kind of, you know what I mean, the hose pipe bans. And
They've
that's brutal.
sabotaged me again.
Yes. Audrey, always a pleasure. Thank you. Stephen, it's always a pleasure and never a chore.
Thank you very much, sir.
Take good care.
week,
See everybody. Doodle pip.
See you now.